Good morning, folks, and welcome to a follow-up video on Bitcoin. I received a lot of feedback and really positive feedback at that with regards to my last video on Bitcoin. And I truly do appreciate the engagement. Good stuff. And I encourage it. So please leave a comment below, subscribe to my channel. You know the deal. And what I want to do today, first of all, wish everybody a very happy new year and a very prosperous and healthy one. So let's get to the chart of Bitcoin. The last I had discussed about Bitcoin, we were primarily using the weekly chart. Let's go to it first and we'll come back to the daily chart. All right, so at that point in time, I had addressed the issue of all those who were bullish now were conveniently bearish, claiming to have called the top on Bitcoin, while I had already, for the most part, called the top within 2 weeks, only a week prior to my last video, because the stars were in alignment. We had just to recap, and forgive me for recapping here, but the rationale for my bearishness on Bitcoin. Now, I didn't say it was going to correct the very next day following my video. It wasn't that precise, but it was fairly close. So the chart at that time, in particular, the weekly chart had the price of Bitcoin trading up and into the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. Now, there'll be people out there that will mock you when somebody criticizes you for having a set of tools, meaning indicators, in your quiver like arrows, and you try to explain it to them, yet they're closed-minded. Walk away. Continue to do what works. I digress. So we were trading up and into the third standard deviation Bollinger Band. We had RSI at about 90. The stars were in alignment for a sell-off, particularly since we had some profit takers selling strength. Now, let's fast forward to my last video, which is where I discussed the fact that you had all the prior bulls. Now they're bears. They're calling a top, saying that they did it. Check their history. See whether or not they posted anything, published anything third party, meaning on Stochastic, Twitter, YouTube, to help validate their claim before you go buying their courses or subscribing to their services, because what they're trying to do is build credibility with you. The only way to have credibility in this business as an analyst is to publish your work, have it date stamped by a third party. Mine, YouTube, Stochastic, Twitter. Let's get back to Bitcoin and my commentary of where we left off. I mentioned back then, don't listen to these talking heads on CNBC, YouTube, Stochastic, Twitter, the know-it-alls who claim that a bubble has burst here. The bubble has not burst. I mentioned that there would be a rally back. We got the rally back. Now, I mentioned that we would put in a double top. Have we seen the double top? I do not think so. I think that there is a threat that we could break the support level here in green. Judging how the price action looks on a daily chart, we'll go to that in a moment, and we have a ceiling above. This is your line in the sand, and as I always like to call it, as I teach my members, the test is always at the top. And in fact, you could see that we put in a high the week of December the 11th, and the following week we tried to take out that high but failed. So that was a test. Now, is that a double top? No. It's not a double top. And if anybody tells you that's a double top on a weekly chart, they really need a bit more education on technical analysis. For a true double top, you need a pullback, a significant pullback, and a support level to be found. Then you need a rally back, and it might take several weeks to several months. So patience. Now, on the weekly chart, the bull camp shows that we have RSI with the froth taken off of it. Would I like to see the RSI rising where I long of Bitcoin? Absolutely, but they're stabilizing. And when you take a look at, take your crayon out here, and you draw your trend line up, we have a problem. And that problem is that we broke down below this rising lower band of support. That's not good. So I would encourage those who are not currently long of Bitcoin and want to buy Bitcoin to sit, watch, and wait. Now what we're going to do is we're going to leave this chart and we're going to go to the daily chart. But before I do, I had mentioned volume in my first video on Bitcoin buy or bubble. I'll post to both my previous videos of Bitcoin at the end of this one. Now, for those folks out there taking note of volume this week, and apparently it's coming in considerably lower than last week's down volume bar, and of course the moving average. Remember, it's an abbreviated week and it's a holiday week, so the computers are in charge. So this volume bar this week isn't really worth much, except of course if it comes in above average. That would be a concern, because you would expect intuitively that, and historically, that volume should be quite low this week, which it appears that it will come in quite low. Let's go to the daily chart. Okay, daily chart. We have support at, let's call it 13,700. We had an overshoot here on the 22nd, but then we bounced back. In fact, let's put another support level here. Okay, so here you have it. We have, let's call this our tripwire, our secondary support level. And in green, this lower band here is our primary support level, which if we break, we're probably going to take out our recent lows last seen on the 22nd. So this green line here really needs to hold. And if we break this orange line here of support, in all probability, and again, probability, folks, not a guarantee, we're going to retest the lower band of support. Now, we're seeing a series of lower highs. I discussed this on my last video. You don't want to see, if you're bullish, a series of lower highs. So what we want to do, let's get our crayon out. And now we have a pattern emerging. Now we have an upper band of resistance, a declining ceiling on the price of Bitcoin. So when would I go buying the shares of Bitcoin as a trade, as a swing trade, meaning several days to several weeks? I would look to buy the shares of Bitcoin if we come all the way down here and retest the lower band of support. And I would use a stop right below this lower band right here at, let's call it 11,158. And I would keep this buy extremely small, because that's a good amount of space between this support level here in green and this support level down here at 11,158. When would I go adding more aggressively to my position? On strength. You want to first see that the support level is validated as being a strong support level, and then you want to see a new higher high. You want to see the highs of 1227 taken out. Now the critical part is that if you're a trader, right, this is only a trade. If you break back down into this trading range, you need to stop out of your trade. Why? It's because in all probability, we're going to retest these support levels, because what you would have had is a breakout, a failed breakout, and a rollover back down into this trading range. That's what we call, it's called several things. Some call it a bull trap. I call it a breakout point failure. Either way, whatever you call it, it's bad if you're long. So in all probability, we will retest these support levels, and there's a very good chance that we break and go lower. Now, when would I buy Bitcoin as an investment? Well, I would probably open up my initial trade here on a breakout above this resistance level, and I would keep it really small. I like to call it scratching the itch. Then, once we rally up and through all-time highs, I would add more aggressively. And folks, the last thing that you want to do is to buy at resistance. You want to buy high and sell higher, because there's a very good chance that we'll rally up to this upper band of resistance and then fail. This is why I advocate scratching the itch, buying a little bit on a breakout, get it off your chest. If you take a loss, that loss is small, and then buy the breakout. It all goes back to psychology. Now, when it comes down to our indicators, we're putting in lower highs in RSI. It appears as though we will have a lower high on RSI probably today. Stokes very close to putting in lower highs. And I traditionally do not like buying a stock, commodity, Bitcoin. I don't care if it's tulips. I do not buy it when it's under the neutral level at 50, unless, of course, it's down below the 20 level like you had back here, or back here, or back here. That's when you want to buy. And I'll leave off with this. I've spoken quite a bit about indicators. You must use your indicators in conjunction with price and volume action. Price and volume are paramount. They are your key indicators, with your RSI and your stochastics and any other indicator that you're using being secondary. They are a tool for extreme overbought and extreme oversold levels, as well as divergences and validation tools of price action. If you see a breakout on price, yet your RSI and your Stokes are not hooking up and they're diverging in the opposite direction, well, then you should be concerned. That's for another video. Folks, everybody have a happy new year. This will probably be my last video for the new year. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. If you're watching this on YouTube, follow me on Stock, Twitch, and Twitter. Leave a comment. I will definitely get back to you. And if you watch this on YouTube, hit that subscribe bell button and you'll be notified of when I send out new videos. If you're watching this on the website, enter your email address. We hate spam too. You'll not be spammed and you get all my videos in the future, plus some free trading lessons. Everybody have, again, a very happy new year. Be well.